Hello and welcome to Chaos to Clarity, the podcast that's your compass to navigate the exciting world of service-based businesses. If you're a determined woman in your current business adventure, striving to conquer the chaos and build your empire, then you are in the right place. I'm your host, Maggie, your go-to business bestie and chaos navigator. I've spent nearly 2 decades in the service-based industry, building a photography business, a yoga studio, and now a thriving coaching practice. I've cracked the code to consistent income without all the chaos and noise. So get ready to increase your business growth, connect with your ideal clients, and find ease in both business and in life. It's time to turn your frustrations into inspiration and your chaos into clarity. So go ahead and grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and let's dive into the journey of building your dream service-based business together. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie. I am your business bestie, your Chaos to Clarity coach, and the host of the Chaos to Clarity podcast. So today I am bringing you a live that I did in my Facebook group. And if you are not part of my Facebook community, I have the link below in the show notes, and I would love for you to join the Chaos to Clarity community on Facebook, where I am dropping all kinds of gems all the time. I go live weekly in that group, and that group often sees all of the newest opportunities to work with me, the courses, the one-on-one, the group things, everything is in that group. So go ahead and join me there, and I can't wait to see you on the inside. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am so excited to be here. So I decided to go live today. And I'm actually going to be recording this as a podcast. So if you listen to my podcast, this episode will come out later. So if you're joining in, definitely go ahead and drop a comment below. I cannot wait to see you, see who's here. And I think I'm going to start scheduling regular live times for myself, to hold myself accountable in this group, but also to make sure that I am bringing you relevant content. So here we go. So today I want to talk about, do you want to stay stuck, or are you wanting to get unstuck? And specifically speaking about your business. Now, when I say this, I mean, if you're not getting leads, right? If you're not getting clients, if you're not meeting the goals that you want and you're not sure why. So number one, if you are not meeting your goals, I want you to take a step back and just write down all the ways that you are trying to get to those goals, okay? That you are just trying to make sure that you are doing what you said you wanted to do. Now, I need extra accountability for myself. Here is one thing that I miss from corporate. So when I worked in corporate, and granted, this was 10 years ago, okay? So when I was in corporate, obviously there's like an extra added level of accountability, maybe kind of assumed accountability, right? Because you're given a task and your boss tells you to do this task. Or if you're the boss, you tell your people to do this task and it gets done. Now, when you are an entrepreneur, especially if you're a solopreneur, you are responsible for all the things. So, and again, today we're talking about being stuck. Do you want to be stuck, or are you ready to get unstuck? Because honestly, being stuck is easier, right? It's easier to stay stuck because it's comfortable. It's easier than getting out there and going and doing the thing. And usually that revolves around having conversations with potential clients. And if that made your kind of took your breath away or ruffled your feathers a little bit, I definitely want you to, again, keep listening to this today. So in regards to feeling and being stuck, I would love for you to grab a pen and paper, and maybe after this, or pause this if you're watching a replay or listening to this on the podcast, and just write down where you're feeling stuck. Like, what is feeling hard in your business? Do you feel like you're stuck? You don't know what to do for content creation. You don't know how to have conversations that convert. You don't know how to convert those conversations into sales, right? You're not sure if you will be able to show up for the people that you are booking, right? Maybe you're afraid. And this is something that I worked through myself not all that long ago. How was I going to put all the energy into lead generation and conversion, right? Signing people onto my program, and then showing up for those people in my program. But also, while showing up for the people in my program, simultaneously continuing to generate leads. How was I going to do that? That felt impossible to me. And I'm not kidding. This was not that long, like a couple of months ago, I was navigating through this, right? Because I had signed on a few clients right in a row. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, how am I ever going to show up for these people and keep bringing new people in? I'm going to be too busy and I'm not going to have time to do all the things that I want to do. That was what was happening for me. And that felt so crazy for me. So after you write down your list, I just want you to go back through that list and give yourself a reason or multiple reasons why you can navigate through that. Okay. So if it is something like, oh, I'm feeling stuck because I am not signing clients. Okay. So let's focus on that. How can you have conversations and start inviting people? How can you start making offers? And if you're scared to make offers, I also want you to know it's super normal to feel scared. It's super normal to not know, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Right? It's super normal. And I will say the more you do it, the easier it gets. So keep that in mind. Same thing with just flat out having conversations, or even back it up a step, creating the content that starts the conversation, right? Now, let me know if you guys want me to get into a little bit of human design on a different live or podcast, and ways that you can use your human design to amplify and make it easier to reach out to people, right? Because there are things you can do from a human design perspective that will make it easier to navigate reaching out to people and not feeling like you're just a cold call salesman. So I just want to say in this right now that if you think of being stuck as kind of like a teeter-totter, right? And you have the middle, like little, I think it's called a fulcrum. I don't know. I haven't taken math since like 2003. So you have the things are working and things aren't working, right? One side and the other. And then in the middle, you have kind of the things that you're working on. And a lot of times when we get into this, I'm stuck mentality, a lot of times it is our brains trying to do us a solid and keep us safe, because the quote unquote safe thing is going to be the thing that's not going to get you either out in front of the world, out in front of your audience, or, like way back in the day, in the caveman day, it was going to be that thing that was not going to let us get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So we have to do a little calming of our own nervous system, right? Of our brain, and show our brain all of the reasons why this is possible for us and why it is working. We are taking steps forward. It is safe for us to do these things. Okay. And I just want to say that definitely takes some practice. It definitely takes a little finessing on your own part. It feels messy. It feels weird. It feels crazy. But then all of a sudden one day, it starts to not feel so weird. It starts to not feel so crazy. And I did a little demo for the viral conversations that convert, the mini course. I added a bonus module to that. And I did a demo of how I take my content and then I answer the comments, or I go in and I answer, right? I connect with the people who have either liked or commented or so on and so forth on that post. So if you're interested in learning how I make viral conversations for myself, definitely let me know either below here on the live, or if you're listening to the podcast or you're listening to the replay, let me know. And the link will be below on the podcast. And I will send you the link if you are watching the replay. So going from things are working to nothing's working, right? And that in between, like, how can we sit in that middle space of some things are working, right? Showing yourself where things work and the things that don't work. This is what I want you to pay attention to, because oftentimes when we focus on the things that don't work, we tend to just stay there, right? And we stay off to one side instead of thinking, oh, well, you know what? This type of content was working for me. Questions were working really well for me. I'm going to ask some more questions and I'm going to start doing some market research. And I know market research can feel really boring and really like, not fun. But you can use market research in your engagement posts. You can use your market research in your value posts. And the things that people comment on your posts are gold. That is what you get to use then to create more content with. So always knowing that you're in this kind of trial and error, you're in this space of opportunity, really, to test and figure out and like do these things in a way that just really make it easy for you to shift your messaging kind of on the fly. And by shifting your messaging on the fly, what I mean about that is sometimes in business, we start using different words and different like vernacular where you start like you use jargon for whatever you're in. Okay. And I want to give the example that happened with my yoga studio. So in 2014, I bought a yoga studio. And in 2015, we totally revamped everything and we put all kinds of new classes on the schedule. We were so excited. We opened the doors and people came to one specific class. And that was because we had a class where we just called it yoga. And we had, I think, a slow flow yoga. And then we decided to change things and put a vinyasa 1, vinyasa 2, and a couple other things. But what we really wanted, we wanted the more advanced students to come to vinyasa 2 and the little less advanced students to come to vinyasa 1, because and the thoughts behind this were valid, but here's where we kind of strayed, right? Vinyasa 1 was meant for more beginners and vinyasa 2 was meant for more advanced, meaning we were doing more difficult things. And you needed some like knowledge of yoga in order to really feel like you were kind of achieving what you wanted out of the class. So vinyasa 1, vinyasa 2. Nobody came to either class. People started asking, where's the yoga class? And I thought that was funny because I'm like, well, we are a yoga studio. That's what we offer. And vinyasa is like like it's something I say during class. What I didn't realize was nobody knew what the heck vinyasa was. So I was using yoga jargon that a lot of our clients, a lot of our people who are coming to class, they'd heard the word before, but they didn't really associate it with like a yoga, like a type of yoga. They just thought it was something we did during yoga, right? So for those of you who are not familiar with yoga, when someone says vinyasa in a class, usually that means going from whatever standing pose you're in down to a low push-up or a chaturanga, and then coming into either a cobra or an up dog, and then moving your body back to a down dog. So it's this like lowering, lifting, chest opening, and then lifting the hips up and back, right? So nobody knew what we were talking about when we put Vinyasa 2 on the schedule, so nobody came to the class. We switched the name of the class to Yoga 1 and Yoga 2, or basic yoga and like advanced yoga, right? It was something along those lines. And people started coming to the class again. So all that to say, if you feel like you're stuck in your messaging, like your messaging isn't work, you're having no conversations, change your vernacular, change your wording. And start there, right? Start with that little shift of how can I ask a better question to get a better response? What do I want? What do I want my people to respond to, right? Kind of staying ahead of that, and also like going into groups and searching for things that you think your clients might be looking for. That is also going to help you. If you turn up nothing from the things that you're searching, write a question about it. Ask. That's the beauty of social media. But what I don't want you to get stuck in is the response. Okay, when you are putting these questions, these values, these offers out there, don't forget to respond, right? Because often, if you're feeling stuck in your messaging, nobody is posting, the algorithm isn't working, drama, right? If that's happening to you, you have to start engaging in things, because probably what is happening is that people aren't seeing it because you're probably not being social. Social media is meant to be social, right? So comment. You sometimes have to get the algorithm warmed up by posting and then commenting, right? And then going in and being active on someone else's post. And that is why a lot of like social media managers and so on and so forth, this is hot tip, right? This is why when social media managers say engage 10 minutes before you post and 10 minutes after you post, because that is going to bump your stuff up in the algorithm. It's going to bring it up, right? When you're social on social media, the algorithm praises you. The algorithm gives back to you. So if you're looking for a hot nugget here, if you're looking to the secret sauce of social media and getting viral conversations is being social. And also asking better questions or better content, right? But the ultimate like thing here, be social on social media, your stuff is going to get seen a lot more. That's like the hot take. But anyway, okay, so when you're feeling stuck, nobody's commenting, make sure you go and comment and like and do stuff, right? Like make sure you're social. So if you are doing that, you're starting to have some conversations, you're starting to see those wins, celebrate those wins. Celebrate those wins for the love of everything holy, or whatever it is, God, universe, she, her, Yoda, I don't care what it is, right? Celebrate the wins. Even if it's one person commenting, if it's one person liking, celebrate that, because it makes the bigger celebrations that much sweeter, right? This morning when I woke up, I logged onto Facebook, I posted some stuff, right? Posted in a few groups, some questions, some value stuff. And I looked and I had 32 notifications, which to some may seem like, oh my gosh, that's terrifying. To others, that might be like, oh, I get 32 or 32 notifications in an hour. Here's the thing. Each one of those nuggets, each one of those 32 notifications, half of them were comments that I get to go back and now I get to respond to those comments, right? I get to go back and either offer some value in those comments, or I get to hop into the DMs of those people. And that right there is because I am social on social media, right? So the more notifications, the more social you are. But also when I logged in and saw that, right? When I saw all of those notifications, I was like, yes, let's have a dance party. Let's like get in the zone, get in a good space, right? But also like pat on my back, like good job. that thing I posted yesterday, I didn't really expect it to get a lot of traction. And it actually got a lot more traction than what I was anticipating, which is so cool. So I just want to say, if you're feeling stuck and you're like, but nobody's talking to me, go out and start making your own conversations. Hands down. So decide what's working, decide what's not working, make that list and check in with it and see like, okay, how can I shift this just a little bit so that I start to see some of those wins, right? And then celebrate all the small things. And get out of this like all or nothing mentality. So many people are like, it's either 100% not working or it's 100% working. And like I said in the beginning, right, where you have this things are working, things are not working, and it's all or nothing, one side or the other. Let's get towards the middle where we can decide like, here are the things I'm working on. Some things might work, some things might not work, and that's okay. And each day we're going to reassess and see what is working, what is not working. And I'm going to, in the moment, I'm going to start testing things. If they're working, great, let's stay on that track. If they're not working, let's shift it a little bit. So let's bring things back to the middle so we're not all or nothing. Because in life, it's not all or nothing. You have some gray areas. You have this like middle ground where you're like, okay, I'm balancing. I'm feeling good. Like, I know there's things I can work on and things that maybe are going really well and all of that stuff, right? And that brings you to taking radical responsibility, right? When you are responsible for, okay, I'm having conversations, but they're not converting the way I want them to. Take responsibility for that. Why? Are you making offers? Are you offering that person, hey, I feel like I can help you. Would it be helpful for us to get on a call? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, great. Here are the times I'm available, or here's my link, right? I'd love to set something up. If not, no worries, right? If that answer changes, you know where to find me. I'd love to continue this conversation though. Okay. And making those offers is going to help you so much. Getting some of that feedback, positive and negative, is going to help you take radical responsibility for everything you're doing. It's going to help you step out of the chaos and the hair pulling agony of, oh my gosh, nobody is commenting. Nobody's talking to me. It's going to help you get out of that and into, here are the people I'm talking to. And here's how I'm helping them. Here's how it's converting. And again, using that as like a Q&A. Is this working the way I want it to? Yes or no? If yes, great. Continue down the path. If no, how can we shift this just a little bit so it works more in my favor? And that is taking that's radical responsibility right there. You're taking the CEO mindset with the employee mindset, right? The employee mindset or the employee archetype, that definitely is you doing the work. It's getting out there, creating the content, posting the content, commenting, right? All of those things, having people go from cold or cool DM or cold or cool lead to warm or hot in the DMs and or on a sales call. So this CEO mindset is you taking radical responsibility and kind of taking that 30,000 foot view. Is this working how I want it to? If it is, like I said, yay, yes, so excited for you. And how can we keep it working? That is where a lot of people get stuck. Things start to work. They're like, yay, I'm overwhelmed. Yay, back it up, right? Sometimes you have to lean into that overwhelm, into that chaos, but also like calm the inside of you, which if you've been around a while, sometimes I talk about goddess, CEO, and employee mindset, right? So some days you are embodying all three of those mindsets or archetypes, right? So the CEO is out there making sure you're taking radical responsibility. That's you keeping an eye on all the things and saying, okay, yes, this is working. No, this is not. The employee is out there doing the work, which you will probably be in like a quote employee mode more than a CEO mode, right? So I just want you to kind of understand that. And then the goddess mode or goddess mindset or goddess archetype, whatever you want to call it, that is you taking care of you, right? Taking care of your needs. So what do you need before you ever sit down at your computer, before you ever start to think about, here is what I'm doing today, right? For me in the morning, I need a cup of coffee. I need some laughs with my family and usually a little dance party, right? And probably something to eat. But that is how I set myself up for success, right? There's a bunch of songs, a few songs that I'll listen to, depending on how I'm feeling on any given day before I sit down at my computer, just to like get everything moving. And you don't have to have like a dance party, right? Do whatever you want, but you have to figure out what it is that you want in order to like feel really, really good in your body as you sit down at your computer to start your work. Because when you are in that good mood, when you are in that mindset, things are going to feel easier. I can almost promise you that. Even if they're hard, it's not going to feel as like overwhelming and chaotic. And again, that goes back to that is you taking radical responsibility for what you're doing. So again, if things are not working, whatever that is, right? Maybe your content isn't converting how you want it to. How can you take an educated and different informed action? Okay, so I'm asking these questions. I'm not getting the response that I thought. How can you shift those questions? How can you ask different questions? How can you put different content out there? How can you try some value content? How can you try some offer content? If the conversations are not converting to a sales call, because let's face it, if you're getting on a call with someone, you're getting on a sales call. You are selling them. Whether you want to or not, right? That's besides the point. You're getting on a Zoom call with someone, even if it's for something for free, you are selling them. And I don't want you to be scared of that because it does not have to be scary. Even if it's a free consult, right? Like my offer audits or the human design audits, those things are me giving value to you. Yes, but it's also my way of testing the waters to see, are you a good candidate for me to work with? And that is something that I really, really love to do. And I love to have that kind of offer because it allows me to understand, like, yes, you are responding to these things, and this is the way you're responding, and this is who I work best with. So yes, you would be a good fit. And chances are at the end of those calls, I'm going to say something like, oh, this has been so great. I've loved working with you. You know, if you want to continue this conversation, I have a few extra minutes. Or let's schedule something else if you're interested in learning about how I work with clients. And there have been a lot of people who I have been on the other side of that conversation with to say, this was so great. I'm so glad we could hop on today. I hope you got so much out of this. I'd love to know. I'd love to hear any feedback from you or how this all landed. Feel free to, either send me a written testimonial or we can stay on right here. I'm happy to, record the testimonial here. But otherwise, this was so great. Thank you so much for your time. And that's kind of my way of being like, yeah, this probably isn't the right choice for me to work with you. And you have that as a coach, you have that power to say, yes, this person is who I want to work with. No, this person is not who I want to work with, right? I do not chase, I attract. And whatever I'm attracting, I am keeping in mind like, oh, okay, so I'm attracting XYZ person and I want to be attracting ABC. How can I make that shift? Right? How can I understand where people are coming from, what they're doing, right? Even down to what group did I meet this person in? And, do I want to continue being in that group based on the people that are coming to me, right? So it's all kind of a big question and answer. It's so much I find it to be so much fun. And if you don't, I would ask yourself, like, what is not fun about this? And how can I make this more fun for myself? So taking educated, different informed actions, right? So if something is not working the way you want it to, how can you take a step back and like literally educate yourself? Okay, I'm in this group. This type of person is talking to me. I don't want this type of person talking to me, right? I'm looking for this type of person these are their attributes, right? So knowing that is super important. And if you're not finding that, where can I shift what I'm doing and go somewhere else and start to do this again? That is how you make informed, educated, different actions. Okay. So lastly, I want to touch on how are you talking? What are you thinking? All of the things, right? Like what is going on up here as you are doing these things? Because if it is something along the lines of, oh, this isn't going to work. Nothing is working. I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. All of those thoughts, they matter. And if you are in a lack mentality, you are telling yourself nothing is working, nothing will work. Keep that in mind. Okay. When you start to shift that thought away from this thing might not be working the way I want it to, but how can I get curious to shift it into what I want it to be doing? That is going into, right, that middle ground of like, it's steering away from lack, but it's moving towards positivity. It's moving towards what you want it to be doing. So on the flip side, if you're too positive, right? If you're too much in that kind of fairyland, right? You're thinking everything is working, everything is fine. And it's like that meme with the dog where he's sitting at a desk and it says everything is fine, but behind him is like a dumpster fire. Right? So if you are just continuing to tell yourself everything is fine, everything is fine, everything is fine, but it's not fine, again, that's too positive. Like bring yourself back to the middle and say, okay, I want everything to work. I want these things to work. I feel like they're not working, but how can I shift them so that I feel like I'm making steps forward? Okay. And I just want to end with this. And I wrote this down because I was thinking this yesterday. So it takes more energy to be scared and stuck where you are. And it takes more energy to stay in a low value and like quote unquote, there's not a solution space. I just want you to know that, right? When everything feels in flow and ease, right? Typically when you are in that space of like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. This is so fun. I like this. I could do this all day. How can we keep doing more of this thing? It feels easy. Right. And I want you to start shifting into that space of ease. You don't have to stay stuck in that low energy, in that nothing is working, woe is me, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to stay stuck there. But I also want you to understand, do you want to stay stuck? Or are you just stuck because this thing isn't working? There's a difference. Right. And it might not sound like there's a big difference, but wanting to stay stuck is like giving yourself a reason to say, oh, see, this isn't working. I'm not good at this. I can't do this. Right. Where if you're just stuck and you're like, I'm frustrated, I'm not having the conversations that I want to have. Right. Where you're like, I know this is what I'm meant to do, but I'm stuck in this thing. And if you're feeling like that, either one way or the other, right? If you're wanting to stay stuck or you're stuck and you want to be unstuck, I would encourage you to hop on either an offer alignment or offer audit call with me. Let's talk about it, right? Let's make sure that you're in the right space, that you're doing the right things, that you're saying the right things. And how, if you're not, right? If you're not doing and saying the quote unquote right things or getting the reactions, getting the things that you want out of this, how can you shift? And how can you shift without burning it all down? Because that's also important to think about. You don't have to burn the house down just because there is a nick in the drywall, right? You don't have to do that. It is easier to fix than you think. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you have an amazing day, and I cannot wait to chat with you more.